Hey, what's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken, and welcome back to another video. And in this one, I want to talk a little bit more about investment spikes, which is one of the most important new features that they've added to the game in the past couple of months, because it changes how you go about crafting your builds. You see, instead of going all in on one or two categories and completely neglecting the third one, it now encourages you to upgrade all three categories to at least 4.8k souls worth of investment, so you can get a huge power spike for your weapon damage, health, and spirit power. Now, I already talked about why it's so important to reach these investment spikes in a video that I made a month ago, but in this video I really want to talk about the best ways to reach these investment spikes using the most powerful combos possible, and covering each of the best options depending on the archetype of character that you're playing. Because of course, if you're playing a character like Seven who goes all in on spirit, then it's very easy to reach your spirit investment spikes by just buying a bunch of items you were going to get anyways, but it can be a lot harder to come up with the best items for the weapon category to reach that weapon investment spike. Conversely, on a character like Hayes who goes all in on weapon damage, it can be very hard to figure out what the best spirit items are to complement your build. And if you're playing a support who likes to buy a lot of green items, then how the heck do you reach the investment spike for both of these categories? Well, that's what I'm really going to focus on in this video. Now, there will be timestamps down below for each of the build archetypes, so you can skip around as needed. And while you're down there, I'd really appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you find these videos to be helpful. Now, let's get started by talking about the first archetype of build, which is the classic spirit damage build that you would find on a character like Seven. What type of weapon items can we buy to augment this playstyle? Well, a recurring item that you're going to see a lot in this video is the very powerful and very popular Cultist Sacrifice, and the reason why this item is so good for reaching your investment spikes is because it's a tier 3 item that gives a lot of very useful stats on just about every character. It gives you a lot of weapon damage versus NPCs, which is perfect for pushing waves, taking camps, and taking down objectives, and most characters can benefit from at least 2 of the 3 buffs. So in Seven's case, we do actually benefit a fair bit from the weapon damage, and we also really like the bonus health and the ability range for our abilities like the Lightning Ball, Static Charge, and Storm Cloud. And so this is a very naturally good option on Seven because, well, it also gives a fair chunk of extra souls, and Seven loves souls. Every character loves getting souls. Cultist Sacrifice just materializes extra wealth out of thin air. And while the item rarely pays itself off, it still ends up giving you a couple thousand souls over the course of a match that you can use to quickly advance towards the next item that you buy for your weapon spike, if you so choose, or any other item that you want. So this item is going to be a recurring theme because it's just so gosh darn useful. Cultist Sacrifice can be paired with a number of different items, and this is going to depend a little bit on the specific playstyle that you want to go for. If you want a little bit of extra mobility, then Fleetfoot is a great option to pair with it, especially because it allows you to slide for extra ammo efficiency. So for example, if we're playing a Power Surge based build, then we could use the Fleetfoot to have a little bit more ammo and a little bit more uptime on our Power Surge as we are fighting or clearing camps. Alternatively, you really can't go wrong with Spirit Shredder bullets because it lowers the enemy spirit resist and gives you spirit lifesteal, so you can just hit a target and then watch your lightning ball do more damage and also heal you in the process. Mystic Shot can also be okay for adding a little bit of extra spirit damage because it gives you extra spirit power, and it scales really nicely with items like Boundless Spirit, which you're probably going to buy anyways at some point. And again, for more Power Surge specific builds, you could go for something like Swift Striker or Titanic Magazine to again improve the uptime and overall DPS of your Power Surge. But by far the most broken synergy that Cultist Sacrifice has on just about any character is its synergy with Kinetic Dash, which is another insanely powerful tier 2 item that basically any character can use effectively because it gives you a metric crap ton of fire rate, it gives you temporary ammo, which the lower your ammo pool is, the better this temporary ammo is, and it also gives you extra stamina, so it's a movement item, a fire rate item, and an ammo economy item all in one. And as I discussed in a previous video, fire rate is an insanely good stat to have right now because it's multiplicative with all the weapon damage that you get. And by buying Kinetic Dash, you also get a lot of weapon damage from your weapon investment. So you multiply the 30% bonus fire rate with the 49% extra weapon investment damage, and you just end up doing a lot of gun damage for dirt cheap, while also having one extra stamina that lets you maneuver around the map at a breakneck pace. And like I said, this combo can be applied on just about any character Headhunter in the game, including gun builds, by the way. Some gun builds will rush this combo because it's just so gosh dang efficient. You get a ton of souls from Cult of Sacrifice, a ton of damage, a bunch of health, you get a bunch of stamina and fire rate and ammo from Kinetic Dash. It's just so insanely good. So if you're ever in doubt about what weapon items to go for on a build like this, these two are usually a good choice. Anyways, enough about Cult of Sacrifice. Let's move on to our next archetype of characters, and those are Spirit Burst characters specifically. Heroes like Lash and Holiday. They have a very broken item synergy that they can use for their weapon investment spikes, and that is the combo of Mystic Shot and Headhunter. Both of these items add a lot of extra flat damage to your gun, and if you just hit someone in the head with this, you deal a ton of damage. Bear in mind, I have no boons. Let me fix that, go up to like 19k. Yeah, this combo is really good. Look at all that damage just from one shot of my gun. Not to mention, Headhunter provides you with a little bit of extra sustain from the bonus health and healing per headshot, and it also gives you movement speed when it procs. Both of them also have the same cooldown, and it's fairly low, so you can proc this fairly consistently throughout a fight. And Mystic Shot also provides you with extra spirit power that you can use to make your other abilities more powerful. So if I just get some regular spirit items online, we're about 16k here, and BAM! Yeah, that's 400 damage just on a regular weapon shot. Boom, and that combos super well with our slam and our flog, and it actually, in that case, does more damage than our flog. It is a really good combo that you can weave in with your other attacks to kill an enemy super quickly. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the vitality section in this video because, like I said in the first video, vitality is so easy to get up. For example, on a spirit build, literally just spirit lifesteal, and then any one of these conditional tier 3s will do just fine. Counter spell, or fortitude, or bullet resilience, or just whatever is really ailing you will get you up to that vitality investment spike, no problem. Or if you want, you could even do something like I do on Zevin, where I get Spirit Lifesteal, Enchanter's Emblem, and Healbane. That also gets you up to your vitality investment spike. Now, as we segue from the spirit builds to the gun builds, I figure it's a good idea to take a look at supports up next, which are a very interesting archetype of character because they're not exactly focused on doing that much damage, but it is still just super helpful to get to that 49% weapon spike because, well, it just makes life easier. It makes it easier to farm, makes it easier to push objectives, even makes it easier to kill enemies. Duh. So, you still want to reach this, and here's how you can do it. First of all, Heroic Aura is your friend. This is a 3k item that is very helpful on supports because it buffs up your team greatly. It provides passive bullet resist to you and everybody around you, which you can't go wrong with that. Basically turns you into a mini version of a walker. And it also gives you an active component where you and everybody around you gets a ton of move speed and 30% bonus fire rate. You remember how Kinetic Dash also gives you 30% fire rate, and it's one of the most busted items in the game? Well, yeah, you can just give your entire team 30% fire rate for a limited time, and that is very useful. And Heroic Aura can be combined with many tier 2 items that have a more supportive role that help your team kill things easier. For example, both of the resistance lowering items can be very helpful, and which one you choose really just depends on what type of damage your team wants to do the most. So if you want to pocket your Haze, pick up Weakening Headshot and help her do more damage. You want to help your 7 out, get Spirit Shredder bullets. You get the idea. Backstabber can also be a surprisingly good choice because, again, it lowers enemy resistances and it also reveals them to your team. So if you're chasing a target, this can help your team out greatly with actually keeping up with them. Or if you want to help boost the pick rate of slowing bullets, then it's actually not a terrible choice. You can pick that up, and with Heroic Aura, you'll be able to slow the enemies down while you run at them very quickly, and it can be very funny and very helpful to help your team secure kills. There is also technically a synergy with slowing bullets and Alchemical Fire, which is the other tier 3 that can be very helpful on a support, should you choose to not go Cult of Sacrifice. Again, Cult of Sacrifice is just such a good item, and you can absolutely pick that up on a support. It is very useful. But Alchemical Fire can also be good if you have a means to slow the enemies in your fire, including slowing bullets, but also Calvin's Beam, Calvin's Grenades, Dynamo's Stomp, just anything that can force an enemy to stay in the Alchemical Fire. It'll add some extra damage, it'll give you more spirit power, and it'll also lower enemy resistances, so your gun characters on your team can do more damage. And furthermore, since Alchemical Fire does spirit damage, it can actually proc any debuffs that you have, like Healbane, or Mystic Vulnerability, or anything like that. So, just a super helpful tool on supports. Now, usually supports don't have any trouble getting spirit items online, but just in case, here are some good synergies. First of all, superior cooldown is your friend. This is just very helpful in general, and if you have a lot of active items, you can upgrade this to transcendent cooldown, and at that point you don't even have to worry about spirit investment. It's a 6k, and you're absolutely fine. Superior cooldown does tend to pair well with many of the items up here. If you have a specific ability like Kelvin's Dome that you want to augment, you can get Arcane Surge. That'll give you a little bit of extra stamina, get you to your purple spike, and it results in a more powerful frozen shelter. Duration extender can be helpful on a specific ability that you want up for longer. You could go for a debuff like Mystic Slow or Mystic Vulnerability, or you could debuff the enemies with something like Slowing Hex or Spirit Sap, and against characters like Mina, Slowing Hex in particular is very good, or, again, if you have a lot of Spirit characters on your team, then Spirit Sap will do very nicely. Now let's talk about a character archetype that I completely skipped in the first investment spikes video, and that is melee characters. So these guys are pretty straightforward, but just in case, here's a refresher on how to easily get your weapon investment up on a melee character. So for weapon items, all you need is a melee charge, and then either Point Blank or Hunter's Aura. Hunter's Aura will lower enemy resistances, which can be very helpful if the enemies are tanky, and Point Blank will just give you a ton of extra weapon damage and also slow nearby enemies. So both of these are really good. Usually you see Point Blank a little more than Hunter's Aura, but you can't go wrong with either of them on a melee build, like you would see in your common Abrams build. And then for purple items, well, you have one obvious choice in Spirit Snatch that covers your tier 3 item. Now for your tier 2 items, you have a couple of options. First of all, you could go for Bullet Resist Shredder, which lowers enemy bullet resist, so your melee attacks will do more damage. Cold Front is also a pretty good option because it adds extra damage and it keeps the enemies in melee range for longer by slowing them down greatly. And Slowing Hex has a similar effect if you're against someone like Mina. Finally, you could just go for Compressed Cooldown or Duration Extender on an ability like Abrams' Charge, which will be very helpful for just synergizing with your kit and hitting one big melee attack. Finally, let's talk about gun builds. Now, gun builds can actually be a little bit trickier to get their spirit investment online than it is for a spirit build to get their gun investment online, because spirit builds have the luxury of just getting Cult to Sacrifice and then one more tier 2 item. They have a lot of good choices, but gun builds are a little bit more limited, I would say. So the most classic combo that you can do is getting Bullet Resist Shredder, which obviously helps you do way more gun damage, and then Surge of Power on an ability like Haze's Sleep Dagger. Now, this will allow you to get a lot of fire rate, a lot of move speed, and also get you up to your Spirit Spike and add a bunch of extra Spirit Power on the specific ability, which, in Haze's case, this is actually ideal. You can get Surge of Power on the Sleep Dagger, it has really good sleep scaling, and it'll add a ton of extra damage. And with this combo, you just hit somebody with the Sleep Dagger, and then go to town on them. You have a ton of fire rate, a ton of move speed, their resistances have been lowered, and you just do a lot of damage. However, since I'm all about options, let's look at a couple of other things you could do on, I guess, the best gun character in the game, Viscous. I don't know why. Why is gun so viable on this character, man? It hurts me. But yeah. So you have a couple of other things you can do. First of all, if you want to go down the path of getting Quicksilver Reload, that is absolutely valid. It's another fantastic item. Instantly reloads your gun and gives you some extra fire rate, so you can keep blasting and hopefully secure the kill. And similar to supports, this can pair well with some of the CC and utility items here in the tier 3 category, like a knockdown or a silence wave. A lot of Haze players will go for the silence wave, especially because you can silence somebody into her ultimate. And I guess, I don't know, it doesn't really work as well on Viscous, but that is an option. Something that works a little bit better on Viscous is superior cooldown. Pretty much every character in the game, even if they are a gun build, will benefit from some cooldown reduction. And cooldown reduction on Viscous will allow me to use my Splatter more, my Puddle Punch more, my Cube more. It's very helpful because Viscous's abilities are very strong. Outside of Quicksilver Reload and Bullet Resist Shredder, you don't really have any other good options in the tier 2 category, apart from maybe Slowing Hex, and again, that's kind of situational. Good against characters like Calico and Mina, but otherwise, it really is just a Quicksilver Reload and Bullet Resist Shredder show for the gun builds. It's actually kind of a little bit sad. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video on the most broken investment spike combos in Deadlock. Let me know what you thought about the video in the comments section down below. What's your favorite investment spike combo, and did I miss any busted combos in this video? Oh gosh, that would be very disappointing, wouldn't it? And also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future videos from me. And I also have a playlist linked down below of of other informative Deadlock guides to help you improve at the game. So yeah, a lot of things to check out down below, and also if you really want to help support the content and keep me doing what I'm doing, then consider joining the memberships program linked down below. You get a bunch of different perks, and it really helps the channel out a ton. With all that being said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time. Peace out.